Hey everyone, I'm Jen, and I own a veterinary technician relief business.
And I'm Michelle. I own a veterinary technician mobile house call business.
And you are
And you are
listening
listening
to
to
Endless
Endless
Journeys,
Journeys,
the Vet
the
Tech
Vet Tech
Odyssey
Odyssey
podcast.
podcast.
In this podcast, we will be discussing and meeting with credentialed technicians who have created their own path with business ownership within the veterinary space.
Our goal is to help inspire burnt out vet techs before they leave the industry altogether through our stories and the stories of other vet tech business owners.
All right, before we jump into today's episode, we want to give a huge thank you to one of our sponsors, Action Vet Tech Services, or ABTS.
ABTS is an RVT-owned staffing, training, and consulting agency founded by Jacqueline Phillips RVT, based out of North Carolina with a nationwide reach supporting credentialed veterinary technicians.
What we really love about ABTS is that it was built for technicians. Their entire mission is focused on creating empowering and autonomous career paths for credentialed technicians, so RVTs, CVTs, LVTs, and even VTS specialists.
Their team includes about 30 to 45 professionals with a huge range of specialties, and many of them have been with ABTS for more than 3 years. It's a group that's really focused on leadership, education, supporting each other.
ABTS offers flexible relief staffing for clinics and hospitals, RACE-approved continuing education, customized in-house labs and trainings, and consulting for practices looking to improve workflow, compliance, and practice management.
They also create real pathways for technicians to grow into leadership roles, teaching opportunities, and long-term career development, which is something we talk about a lot on the show.
What really makes ABTS stand out is their RVT first owner-led model that prioritizes autonomy, professional growth, and building a strong community of credentialed technicians.
So if you're in a clinic looking for skilled veterinary technicians or a technician looking for new opportunities to grow your career,
be sure to check out Action Vet Tech Services and see how they're helping elevate technicians across the veterinary profession. All right, now let's get into our episode for today. Today, we are interviewing Alyssa, and she is the Chief Visionary Officer of EVT, which is Empowering Veterinary Teams. So that's what we're going to be doing today. That's going to be the majority of this episode. So we will go into talking a little bit more about her and what she does. In a little bit, we are just going to go through our little intros, and then we will be speaking to Alyssa. So we're really excited today.
So Jen, I don't know about your week. I know your week was a little bit short. Mine, I actually worked 5 days. I had a makeup day, so I feel like a fully grown adult who worked 5 days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did. Oh God, like my good and my bad. Probably the best thing that happened this week, and I want this to also inspire other vet techs. I know we talk a lot about not practicing at the top of your license, and I'm just doing a little bit of part of it. And the highlight of my week was one of my dear clients, Jamie. She gave me this ornament, and it says, "Never forget the difference that you make." Yep, I was taking down my
Cute.
Christmas tree. Yep, and my owner gave that to me. And when she
Aww.
gave it to me, she started tearing up a little bit. And she said, before I came around, she was struggling with her Rottweiler to get into the clinic. If any deck storm, just like get into the car. Very active at the window. Trimming the nails were just a dream. And I came along and I started becoming fear-free certified right along with meeting her and her dog. So I was throwing all these ideas out there constantly. We were trying everything. And then over time, her dog started getting better and better. With me seeing them once a month versus their veterinarian, once or twice a year. And she was tearing up and she's like, "You made such a big difference in my life and my dog's life and my household's life. Like, you came in and you taught my dog just how to be comfortable. And now she doesn't even need to give her dog Dextrom to go to the vet."
Nice.
I think most of that's on the dog. The only thing I do is, figure out what the dog liked for his treats and the no-go zones, which I can only attribute to my part. But
Yeah.
I thought it was so special because As vet techs, sometimes we feel it all around, whether you're in a clinic, no matter what role you are. And I know we even talk about this today with Alyssa. Just never forget the difference that you're making. You don't know the impact that you have. You could be impacting. I didn't think I impacted this owner as much as I did. And when she started tearing up, made me tear up. And now I'm like, I will hold on to this for the rest of my life as a reminder. And so, other vet techs, if you are out there, there's people like that. They may not have given you a cute ornament, but you don't know the difference that you could have made in their lives with
Right.
your work.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um, how else did my week go? So I did use some of my technical skills and I stayed cool in an emergency situation, which Jen, I think you would be proud of, which I also wanted to tell you, but it was sad. One of my really good owners, the pet passed away this week suddenly. Yep. Sh on Wednesday, she was not feeling well, and we were supposed to have our appointment Wednesday, and she's never rescheduled. She called me. She's like, "Hey, Michelle, I'm going to the vet today. Something's wrong with Bailey. She's not acting right." And I was like, 13-year-old dog, not acting right, eating paper towels, never ate them before. And I'm like, that's not good.
Right.
And I kept my phone by me all day. I'm like, you update me, you keep me posted. And I was at my other client's house, who's her route buddy. When people are on the same route, they're route buddies. And she called. I was like, I'm really sorry. Do you mind if I take this? And I told her beforehand I might be getting a call. And I gave her the rundown. And I was talked to Bailey's mom. And she's like, Bailey's gonna be okay. We sent her home on antibiotics, pain meds, steroids. I don't know as she was driving, so I didn't ask what med she was on. And I looked at my client and I was at her house. I was like, your route buddy's going to be okay. I'm so glad to hear. I'm like, that's such a relief. They're like, okay, we'll reschedule you for Saturday. It's like, I'll be out Saturday. I'm working anyways, a makeup day. I'll see you Saturday. Okay, great. And my client at the time was like, that's so cool. Her dog's little. I'm like, yes, it's so great. And again, we didn't have a diagnosis, but you know, Friday morning, I'm pulling out of my garage. I can't find my phone. It's ringing. It's going off the hook. I'm looking for, and I see that Bailey's mom had called me like 3 times in a row. And I'm like, that's not good. And I call her and she's in the car with Bailey and she was sobbing. She was heartbroken. I'm in my garage talking to her and she told me she was on the way to the vet, that Bailey was having seizures all night.
Oh, not good.
Yeah, and I knew.
Mm.
I'm like, oh boy. I mean, and I even had a feeling when she told me on Wednesday it wasn't going to be good. Like in my tech brain, I'm like, it's not good. But I thought it was a miracle that the dog got sent home on medication and it's going to be okay. Um, and so yeah, I was like, "Where's Bailey right now?" And she's like, "In the back seat." I'm like, "Okay." And I was like, "You're in the car driving?" She's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Did you call the hospital, tell them that you were en route?" She was like, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay, great." And then I hear, "Oh my God, she's seizing, she's seizing." And I was like, "Where's Bailey?" Back seat. Is somebody with her? Yes, my daughter. I'm like, "Tell your daughter, hands away from the mouth. She can only hold on to like the body to keep Bailey from falling, but got to get your hands out of the mouth. There's involuntary movements." And she, just like the true mom she is, I could like hear the mom voice. She's like, get those hands away from that mouth. Like, and unfortunately, Bailey was euthanized. But I stayed on the phone with them the entire 5 minutes. I was like, you can stay on the phone with me. I'm right here with you, and I'll stay on the phone with you to get the hospital. And it was silent on the other line for, maybe a minute. And it seemed like the longest minute of my life because I knew what the traumatic event that was unfolding with her and her daughter and Bailey in the
Right.
car. But, I feel like at least I was able to hopefully help her daughter not get bit, holding the dog's head during a seizure. And the dog did pass away. So that was like definitely the down part of my week. I've been
Mm.
seeing them for like 3 years now, roughly. So it really hurt me on Friday when the owner called me and let me know she passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's been an emotional week, but
Yeah.
that one, I'll miss them greatly, and,
Mm.
between that and my other owner, I'm just like, ups and downs of this job, but
Right. Yeah.
I know.
No matter what aspect of this job you're doing, yeah, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster, I feel like. And there's always going to be ups and downs for sure. Yeah.
Always ups and downs for sure,
Hmm.
so but it's part of our job, just like, we talk about later on with Alyssa,
Yeah.
and we take these moments, we learn from them,
Hmm.
and we grow, and I have
Right.
to learn to not get so attached to these dogs.
Yeah.
So,
Good luck with
yeah,
that.
I know. It's so hard when you see them once a month and you go into their homes.
Mhm.
It's so much harder doing this sometimes. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Jen? What's going on with your week? How did last week go?
I just worked one day and I worked Saturday.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You were working Saturday. Yes. How are
Uh-huh.
Saturdays working out? You've never done them before.
Actually,
Haven't done them in a while.
not, I mean, they're busy, but it's actually kind of good. I feel like I'm appreciate working them a little bit more than the weekdays, especially since I mostly do emergency. So I think that I might be picking up more weekends in the near future, just because they're keeping me busy. They're going by a little bit faster than when I pick up the weekday shifts. So yeah, so far so good. I actually really enjoyed this last Saturday that I worked. It was a good day. And I mean, only working one day a week, if that one day is going to be a weekend, is it really going to be that bad, in the scheme of things? So, yeah, I think I might be picking up a little bit more, a couple more weekend shifts as time goes on. It was an eventful day, but it went by fast and it was pretty good. And I was able to stay awake until 10. It
There
was
you
the
go.
latest that I've gone to bed in a while since I've been pregnant. And I will say that I am still recovering today just from just from
The weekend.
having to
Yeah.
go to bed a little bit later. So, but that'll take some getting used to, but that'll be fine. But yeah, it was good. And that was pretty much it.
Now, is this the one clinic where I think it was like you worked for them a couple weekends ago? You really liked them, right? Like you knew them in the past, I want to say.
No, no. That
Okay.
was
Am I thinking
that
of
was
somebody else?
last weekend that I
Okay. All
worked for
right.
them. So this was
Okay.
the emergency clinic that's in the city that I regularly do relief for, but I hadn't been there for about 2 weeks. I took a break from doing relief for them for about 2 weeks. So, yeah, I came back and yeah, it was a pretty good day. Not too
Good.
shabby. Just, I mean, typical emergency day, lots of hospitalized patients. I was on hospital and I prefer being on hospital. So that could have had to do with it too. So, because we do that hospital, they have technicians that are solely either working with workup patients or just focusing on hospital. I was on hospital, which I prefer. And yeah, so it wasn't too bad. But it's one of those things, right? Where even though I'm on hospital, as soon as I finish with my hospitalized patients, I go and I check to see, well, what does workup need? And then I help with workup. That's what I do just to keep busy and to be part of the team. So,
I love it. And it's funny is when, and we talk about this again later on, when you own your own business, you can make your own schedule. And when me and you first met, like, yeah, I don't work the weekends. I don't work the weekends either. Yeah, this is, Saturday, Sundays off forever. And when I texted you about something this weekend, you're like, oh, I'm working. And it's funny because I'm like, oh, I'm working too. And it's like, here we are. We'll never work a weekend again. And both of us are working. Saturday.
well, and again, right now I'm only working the weekends because to me every day is the same day. I used to take the weekends off because my husband, or
Mhm.
because my friends, and a lot of times right now what we would be doing is we would be going snowboarding. Well, I can't do that right now because of my pregnancy. So it's like, well, if I'm not going to be snowboarding, I might as well be making a little bit of money, right? So, and keeping
Yeah.
my head, you know. So, and I keep getting asked by people at work, so how much longer are you going to work? Just with hearing with my pregnancy and how it's going, and, and me having to be more and more careful as time goes on. So people are like, so how long are you going to be doing this? And I'm like, as long as I'm able to, because I still love what I do. Even if I have to cut down to one day a week, which is what I'm doing, I still want to do it. And that's the difference. So, I'm going to keep going as long as I can. Just do what you got to do for now. Once summer hits, it's going to be a whole different ball game, right? I'm not going to be working because because my husband works during the week and I need the weekends off. So I can at least spend that time with my husband. So that will be my priority in the summertime. But right now I can be way more flexible in the wintertime.
Good. Yeah, I can't wait for your summer. I mean, it's going to suck because I know me and you're going to take some time off. Like, for those of you who are listening, we've been batch recording and basically banking a lot of these recordings. So that way, me and, Jen can take some time off after she has her baby. And I'm going to miss you during that summer. Like, if I go hiking, I'm going to have to call you and be like,
Uh-huh.
guess what I did? I saw sun this summer. So. But
Yeah.
I'll be excited for you to take some time off this summer and just enjoy your baby.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, taking the time off sounds great, but my husband knows me and I know me, and I'm already just like, I don't know how long that's going to last before I start to get a little stir crazy, which I know like baby is going to be keeping me busy and things like that. We'll just see how it goes. But yeah, we're trying to be prepared right now for me to have
Mhm.
that time off. Hmm.
So for this week's reviews and salutes, we actually have a little bit of a different one. Jen sent to me a little while ago a Spotify review. Well, not a Spotify review, but Spotify's review of us. And when she sent it to me, I was going through them, and one part stuck out very particularly that just made my day. And I didn't even know that Spotify gave you these stats or these year-end reviews or what have you not. But when you sent it to me, it said, here are our stats. Woohoo! Okay, so we are the top 10 show for fans. I'll take it. We are the top 5 show for 36 fans. We're number 1 show for 14 fans. 55% of them binged 2 or more episodes in one day. And this is what Spotify said on the little thingy that you sent me, Jen, with like fireworks,
Yeah.
I think it was. And I was like, this is so cool. Um, According to Spotify, we are a 2025 instant hit show. Our debut season was more popular than 90% of new shows that aired in that same time frame.
I know. I almost like when I read that, I was like, wait, is that right?
Uh,
What? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know if I
it,
believe that. But I was like, that's what Spotify said.
yeah, I'm like, I'll take it. I'm like, certainly there must be like a grading error in our mistake or something. I'm
I don't
like,
know.
or a grading error in our favor. Yeah, a grading error in our favor. Because I'm like, there's so many good ones out there.
I
And
know.
I'm like, do we have like 2 that premiered that season? I'm like, I'm trying to look at every angle. But I'm like, that's that sounds good to me. I'm like, those
Right?
stats sound really good to me. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
think for a little beginner show, it's not too bad.
yeah. Just me, you, and a couple of mics and a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of crusty, rusty, dusty, burnt out vet techs just like you are and I am, because that's what we are. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the majority of the people that are contributing to this are the vet techs who are, on the verge and the ones who want to hear different things. And, so
Right.
it just, yeah, so cool. So thank you, Spotify, for those stats.
Yeah.
Normally we have like an actual review or a salute, but since Jen sent that to me, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good job, Jen. Thank you for putting this on.
Yeah. Yeah. Just me, right?
Well, it was your idea, and then I kind of come on and I was like, hey, can I join? And you're like, sure. So it's
No, I
cool.
wasn't like sure. I was like, hell yes, please. I've been begging for somebody to help me do this. I don't want to do it by myself. So,
I'm
and I
so
think
glad
it's
we
way
met.
more successful because of that. And now we are moving on. We are going to be interviewing Alyssa today. She is a BS and a CVT. She is the Chief Visionary Officer of Empowering Veterinary Teams, also called EVT, where she leads content development, clinical training, and strategic direction. An inaugural fellow of the Association of Veterinary Technician Educators and a certified veterinary technician with over 20 years of experience, Alyssa blends science, education, and empathy to elevate veterinary teams worldwide. She is a co-founder of Nurture and the nonprofit Project Sticker, the director of Mentor Vet Tech, and an advisor for BlendVet, as well as 2 veterinary technology programs in Pennsylvania. She is a respected speaker, educator, and key opinion leader. Alyssa has presented internationally. She's co-authored 2 books. Her latest, Veterinary Training and Team Empowerment, is set to launch in the fall of 2026 and contributed to numerous publications and podcasts. Through her Vet Up online program, she helps veterinary professionals strengthen their skills, communication, and confidence. In 2025, Alyssa became the first credentialed veterinary technician to be nominated for the Feather in Her Cap High Flyer Award at the VMX, which sounds like she's going to be going to the VMX this year as well. Above all, Alyssa is deeply committed to inclusivity and empowering every voice within veterinary medicine to create a more connected, capable, and compassionate profession. So
Yes.
we are going to get her on right now.
So, Alyssa, can you please tell us just a little bit more about your business and what your main focus is?
Absolutely. So, Empowering Veterinary Teams, or EVT, it's woman founded, owned, and operated. We do have a token guy. Danny's great. He's our lead trainer. So, we launched in 2020, and we are focused on the growth and development of all aspects of the veterinary support team. So, looking at technicians, assistants, and receptionists, ensuring that they have a clear path forward and a way to develop their skills, and we create training programs to reflect that. So instead of a top down approach, it's an inside out. And then alongside of that, we are race approved CE providers. So we have close to 40 courses right now. So we're working on digitizing those. And we travel internationally to present on those topics. So communication, looking at advocacy, and how to actually build a training team and make it sustainable. And alongside of that, we have invented training models and mannequins. So taking those clinical skills and then making access to care more accessible through access to training. So instead of having to spend thousands of dollars on a mannequin, buy the parts, watch the video, build it yourself. So it's really focused on meeting people where they are with what they need, whether it's a training program, whether it's a la carte options, like how we look at progressions instead of leveling, or speaking, content. Any way that we can work to truly empower the veterinary team is what we do.
That's from the inside out.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that.
Question. You said that you started it in 2020. Was this like
Oh, it
before the
was right
shutdown?
smack in the middle of COVID. It was great. June of 2020. So our official launch date was October of 2020.
So was that like kind of on purpose? Like, had you already had that like planned, or was this like, was the shutdown and everything like a part of why you did it? Or
No, I would love
okay,
to say it was that.
okay,
I would love to say we planned it just because of that. We ended up pivoting to the virtual space, and
okay,
so doing a lot of webinars and things to start. My business partner and I, we've been friends for 20 plus years, and we were looking to launch in 2019. I was still actively working in clinical practice at the time.
okay.
I was director, coordinator, some type of middle management role. I can't remember the title because it was chaotic then, of learning and development at a huge referral practice here outside of Philly. So I had a team of 12 trainers, and I was cross trained in all of the ologies,
Oh,
and
okay.
was really starting to do the work then. And then got diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos. And if you're not familiar with that condition, I'm so glad for you. It is a connective tissue disorder. So yes, it impacts your joints. I'm hypermobile, but I don't produce collagen like normal humans do. And
Oh,
so it impacts your GI and your cardiovascular system. And so I had all of these things happening, and it became very clear very quickly that an active CVT role was not in the cards for much longer.
right.
So that precipitated me leaving practice sooner than I intended. And then the world shut down. And I was like, well, we already have this launch date. Like, I gotta go. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Sounds like it worked out great,
Well,
honestly.
it's been one of those journeys where I think you both can relate, and so can many entrepreneurs, where you pivot, right? You hit a wall and you're like, well, this isn't working. What can we do, and
Right.
how can we make it, right? And so the training programs is still our flagship offering, right? If for anywhere from 1 to 6 months, where we go in and work with practices. But that kind of slowed down with everything that's been going on in the US.
Right.
So we pivoted to how can we support teams from a clinical skill basis as well as a workflow and efficiency model. And that became content development, presenting, workshops, and our training models and mannequins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That sounds pretty well rounded though. Lots of
Well,
different
it's
options there.
it's kind of like those things, like you see a problem and you fix it. Like that's
Right.
what we vet techs do, right? Like we make
Mm-hmm.
something out of nothing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Yep.
can I can do that. But
Yes.
also recognizing when we're not the experts in the room, right?
Right.
So in
Yes.
practice, I was like spicy burritos, that was my jam. But, angry little chihuahua tacos, I was like, I don't do mean dogs.
Mhm.
So if they're little, if they're cat size, yes.
Yeah.
If they're anything bigger, I'm like, I will break. So
That's
just
right. Yeah. I'm the total opposite. Like
yeah.
we've had plenty of conversations on here. Like Jen doesn't do
Jen's not a
fractious
cat person.
cats.
Mm-mm.
I even like even normal cats. Like I'm like, you even give me that side eye, and I'm like, no. But like dogs, like aggressive dogs, from like the little land sharks to like the big like giant mastiffs that want to kill you. Like, yeah, I can handle that. That's not a big deal.
I mean, I can if I have to, but I
Right.
prefer
Same
not.
thing. Like same thing with me
Same.
with the cats. Like I've already
Yeah.
said, like I'll do it if you want me to, but I just don't think my energy
And
is.
they can sense that, right?
That's what I always say, right?
Yeah.
That's what I say. I don't
So
know if my energy is best
you
around
got
that.
dog energy, I've got cat
Yep.
energy, and
Exactly.
that's fine. And that's
So
why I relate, because it's
y-
like, yeah, touch me on my terms.
right.
Like,
Right.
So, Alyssa, what does your average work week look like? Or
you know, it's
actually, your average week. I'm sorry, your average week. What does your
my
average
average
week look
week.
like? Yes.
It's I don't know if I have an average at this point, right? Because they're all over the place. So, like this week, I'm hanging out with you, amazing humans, to start off the week. Which, really, if I could do every Monday like this, clutch. So it can look like a couple of webinars, some meetings, content development, some product review, and just busy work, or I could be traveling. And this is a hybrid, right? So I'm doing some content work and some product development the beginning of the week, and then Thursday I head to VMX. So we're heading into big time conference season, and I'm on that circuit. So I'll be speaking at all of the main events, I guess. I don't know. I'll be speaking a lot of places this year, and so it really depends on if it's a travel week or if it's a home week, and it's that I don't like the work life balance. That is a phrase that kind of makes me twitch a little bit, because there's when I'm working, I'm 100% committed to that, and I'm really focused on that. And when I'm not at work, I'm really focused on that, which is awkward to say because I'm sitting here in my home office, so my work is my home. It's an experience for me, right? So trying to find that integration that works. So I stop work usually right before my kids get home. And I say kid, but one of them is an adult. She's 18, so she's on her own. No, she's not until she leaves this summer. But I filter in like play rehearsals and pickup and swim practice and high school swim meets and doctor's appointments and all of those things, which is another part of why I started my own thing all those years ago, because it is super hard when you're working, 4 10s or 3 12s. And some of that's, shift work. I did a lot of mid shift 2 to 2 when I was in the ER. And you've got to recover from that, right? And so to
Yeah.
find out, like, and especially if you're working during the week, when do you schedule your appointments? Or if you're working the weekends, when do you see your friends and people that, like you and outside of the
Yeah.
hospital? So it's sorry to not really answer that question. It just changes. And so
Mhm.
average, it can go from really busy and intense, like this week is about to be, to just really nose to the grind, in the sense because we're writing a textbook at the same time too. So there's a lot of editing and authorship happening right now too behind the scenes.
But I think
Oh,
that that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur and owning your own business.
yeah.
And because I think, which not all of us are like this. Some people are, majorly type A's and very organized, and their days are all the same. But I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, like we're a little bit scatterbrained, a little bit ADD, and we just our weeks don't look the same all the time. But
Yeah.
that's why it's nice to like have that freedom to be like you said, like, oh, I'm going to BMX this week, and you have the freedom to just be able to do that. Um, and the freedom to be able to just like record a podcast on Monday,
I know.
things like that. So that's the beauty of entrepreneurship and owning your own business. And for the most part, I think not every week is necessarily going to look the same,
Yeah.
but that's the beauty of it.
Right. And you do have to, because I'm like a serial entrepreneur at this point, right? We've launched 2 for-profit companies and then a nonprofit. So it's finding the time, and I'm also, directing another program within another organization. So it's when I pointed, like, I don't if we could anyone's watching this, I am definitely type A, but have to be flexible. So
Hmm.
like I have my like Mondays is dedicated to, like, today's like product and travel prep, right? And then tomorrow I have a bunch of stuff to do for Mentor Vet. So I've got to really hone in on that. And then the day before I leave is all focused on the 2 groups I'm going to be representing at BMX. And so yes, I would not have been able to do that working my shifts in the ER or the OR or the onco suite, right? It
Yep.
doesn't happen that way. But thank God I did that because I have a real appreciation and a true love for all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can have that relatability. Yes, I know there's been updates and changes, but that's why my whole team, I have 7, credentialed technicians that work with us. They keep me relevant. They keep me grounded. And so they're the ones that run all the clinical skills labs and things like that.
Nice. Nice. Have you always known that you wanted to be an entrepreneur or a business owner? Is
No.
this something that you thought that you were like, this was like a main end goal?
No. It's funny. My son asked me that. He's like, If you, thought you'd be here, like, did you ever think this is what you would end up doing?" Absolutely not. Right? It was not even on my radar 6, 7 years ago until really I had to start rethinking things when, you're confronted with either big life events, right, that have nothing to do with work, and it's like, "Ooh, this isn't sustainable.
Right.
I've got to think of something else. What does that
Mm-hmm.
look like? I don't know." And I'm very fortunate and have privileges. I've done not much to earn, if anything, and that I have a family and friend network that are like, "Just do what you want." I can do that, right? Like, to have that conversation, and it's like, well, but I have to have a plan, like, that my brain needs to to know what I'm doing,
Right.
and so, thankfully, I'm not a solopreneur, right? I've done this with people, and that always being a part of a team is something that's really important. I grew up an only child, so, like, I can do it on my own, I'm very good at that, but I really crave that social interaction and to have someone to bounce ideas off with, and accountability is huge.
Yeah.
So, short answer, I never thought I'd be doing this. Long answer, I'm so freaking glad I did, and it's something I would encourage everyone to is at least explore it. At least take that moment and make a Pinterest board or a vision board of pick your favorite colors, get an LLC for $10, do nothing with it for, whatever, but you have that. And if there's something that comes, then you can jump on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I've told other technicians to do is like like when they're on that edge of like, I'm burning, I'm done. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, get your LLC now. Takes, $100, 10 minutes, just get that. And I've also told people the same thing, get one of those old fashioned vision boards. I was like, put it above your desk or in your bedroom. Like I've told people to start strategizing your exit plan. That way, in case something does happen or you're like, this is it. I'm like, you already have the steps and you're not like depressed, sad, you just lost your job. And then you just don't have the mood or energy to do it. So I always tell people like, if you want to start your own business, just get these things out of the way and the rest will just come when you're ready. Same thing.
I love it. And yes, I
Mhm.
misspoke. 10 minutes, $100. Not 100 minutes, $10.
And this, I was thinking, I was doing the math in my head. I
Like,
was like,
LLC
oh,
is not that cheap. No, but yes.
Well, it
yeah,
depends on what state you live in too. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is too. Because some states are a little bit more expensive, and some states are super, super cheap. So that's a pattern that I've seen. It really just depends on where you live, but it's still worth it.
yes.
I agree.
Mhm.
Investing in yourself is never a wrong move.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And that's definitely something that we've talked about a lot in this podcast, that, a lot of most of the reasons why people don't do it is because they're afraid they're going to fail, which, I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons why I was afraid to do it. But,
Yep.
and then it's so cliche when you're like, well, yeah, you might fail, but then you'll figure it out, because that's what we do as technicians, right? Like,
Just figure it
you'll
out.
figure it out, and then you'll just do something and then it won't fail. And it's like, but it's hard to even just get to you're like, yeah, but but also as being technicians, we don't want to fail. I mean, that's
No,
being
because
in
that's
vet
the
ed.
perfectionist in us, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's
So that's
so
why
like
it's really hard for us to take that first step.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
and it's hard to know because, of course, when I first gotten in this field, I didn't even know vet techs existed. And then after that, it was like, oh, okay, so this is what we do. And then as time goes on, you're like, oh, we can do more. Oh, wait, we can do more. Oh, wait, we can do more. And so and it's like, but that doesn't reach a lot of technicians. So
Exactly.
again, that's also why we're doing this.
And I love that because it's in all of these times, everything is really heavy right now.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
it's hard to see any light in any tunnel, and the lack of hope is palpable. So
Yeah.
find it, right? And to potentially be a part of something that gives somebody that, well, if you did it, then I can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
why we're here. We want to show other techs if we can do it, if you can do it, Alyssa, if we can do it, we're here, ask questions, let us know. Like, we want to help
Yes.
before the technicians just say, I'm done. I'm going to human nursing. I'm going to go work at Costco.
Right.
Like,
Don't
these
do
are
Well,
that.
avenues. No,
yeah.
no.
People are
Think of these as
gross. Don't do
avenues.
it.
No.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, the thing
exactly.
that breaks my heart the most too is a lot of people eventually they reach this standpoint in their lives financially where they think like, oh, I just can't do this anymore because I can't sustain, I can't sustain my life working in the vet field. Like I have to do something different. And so again, this is why we're doing this to show people like in the midst of huge life changes, in the midst of if you think like I just can't sustain this life anymore, like there are ways that you can stay in this field.
Yes.
Because I think because that's what's heartbreaking, and I've heard some people's stories where they cry and they're like, "I just can't imagine doing anything else," but at the same time, I just can't financially sustain myself anymore, and so
Yeah.
that's where a lot of it will go, and that's why a lot of people leave.
And it's a valid problem, right?
Yeah.
The system is not set up to sustain.
Right.
And that's a lot of the other work that I do alongside of EBT is working in that realm of education and advocacy, right? How can we figure out how to make this happen, right? So working with newer organizations like Vibe Vet, if you've seen that
Mhm.
up and coming, right? And being a part
Oh, yeah.
of other organizations that are promoting technicians and talking about what it is that we do and looking at what happens in Canada and in the UK and in Oceania down in New Zealand and Australia. What's working there? Why can't it work
Right.
here? How can we have those conversations? And to your point, it's you don't have to leave the profession. You simply have to find a way that's going to fit what you need.
Right.
But burnout is, yeah, I just did a webinar on that last week and it's really, and it's, clinically crispy, right? Clinically crispy and dog tired. And we all are. Like I am absolutely burnt out right now on the
Mhm.
on the personal side, right?
Yeah.
It's been a shit year. And if you need to filter that out, please do.
Nope.
But
Just saying.
I mean, 2025 can just suck it. And the start of 2026 hasn't been great either. So we're like looking to find those things that you can, to your point, like you got to find a different way to do it. That's your pivot. Like nothing happens in a straight line. I think your
Mm-mm.
most recent episode was talking about that. Like healing isn't linear.
Right.
I was like, I did a double take. I was like, literally just did a LinkedIn post about that like a couple weeks ago about how grief isn't linear.
Right.
Nothing is.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There is
Mhm.
no straight road in a career path.
Right.
There isn't. And you don't have to continuously reshape yourself to fit a mold that is breaking you.
Right.
I think all three
Mhm.
of us here, we have lived that where we were trying desperately to figure out how we can stay in the roles that we were in. It wasn't working for a reason,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I think the work that we're all doing now, I don't think I know, we're doing it because it's going to impact so many more people than if we had simply stayed. And
Right.
that doesn't mean people shouldn't stay where they are. If they're really good and they're really loving it, stay in that role, right?
Right.
Grow in that role, but look for ways that you can continue to grow within that role, within that practice, within that department. However you find yourself, don't be static, right? Because life's
Yeah.
never going to stop teaching us stuff. We better
Yeah.
keep on learning.
And I almost wonder too sometimes, and I think I've thought about it this way too, but when you find yourself not being able to sustain just from the basic of being in the clinical field and staying on the floor, you almost find yourself that you're a little bit of a failure
Yeah.
just in that because you're like, why can't I just be happy
And
doing
suck it up.
this
Suck
and
it up,
suck it up?
princess.
And yeah, and then you think that you're a failure in that. And then you think like the fact, and that's why maybe a lot of people think that they have to just up and leave instead. But I mean, again, that's the reminder of just, that's just you and yourself wanting to grow.
Yeah.
Not all of it. I mean, the whole point is what a potted plant can't grow in that pot. It has to be moved into a bigger pot. So
Oh, yeah.
same
Oh, I like
thing
that. Yeah.
is like we have like when we aren't satisfied doing that clinical job anymore, it just means that because it's time for something else. It's
Yes.
time for you to grow. And that's how people stay happy. That's how I stay happy. Anyway,
Yeah.
me personally. So,
Absolutely. Well, and to that point too, we have to look at it from a perspective of longevity physically, right? Like
mhm,
I'm
mhm,
44. Those individuals that can do it beyond their 40s are freaking amazing. I
Right.
physically could not do it anymore.
Right.
And I'm not the only one.
Mhm.
But and I had an exit strategy, right? So Michelle, you were talking about having that ready. If you can't or you don't want to have an exit strategy and you want to stay, then we need to figure out roles within practices that people that are either physically or emotionally or mentally unable to do the active stuff on the floor can do and still be a contributing part of that practice.
Right.
They exist,
Yes.
right? That's where telehealth comes in. That's where education and development comes in. That's so many options there.
Mhm. Yep.
So what aspect of your work are you most passionate about, and how do you continue to keep that passion alive?
Ooh. Oh, man. I don't know if we have a long enough podcast for that. So,
We
I'm
can do it for
sure. Keep it
hours.
going. Let's keep it rolling. I am and this is it's funny. I am passionate about a lot of things. And it's funny. My college boyfriend, he's like, "How do you not just are you not exhausted? You are so passionate about everything you do." And I don't have a short answer for anything. Clearly, anyone that's listening or you two that are having to deal with me, there's no short
This is
answers.
joy.
But I am incredibly passionate about people recognizing their existing strengths and not giving credit to anyone else but themselves. So, one of my favorite catchphrases is no one is just anything. Like, you know how people say, I'm just a vet tech, I'm just an assistant, I'm just a reset.
Mhm.
Uh-uh. You have to own your awesome. Not you are awesome, even though you are, but what makes you awesome. And the biggest high for me as a trainer or a coach is when someone not yes, the aha moments are great, but they finally get it. They understand how integral and valuable they are. And they're like, "Oh, thank you so much." And I have it in my pocket all the time at every training session. I got a pocket mirror, it has our logo on it, and I just flip it around. I was like, "I did nothing. That was all you." So it's to be a mirror so people can finally see who they really are. I am incredibly energized about that. I'm also really passionate about utilization and recognition. So I'm one of the contributors to the AHA Vet Tech Utilization Guidelines. Yes, they're almost 3 years old. They're still relevant. Go use it. Right. So I know it's a guideline, but we should be referring to that. So making sure you understand what your credentials mean, you know what that looks like from state to state. You appreciate what you can and cannot do and advocate for yourself and not just those like TikToks or reels that are like, go advocate for yourself and then it fades to black. Like, this is how you actively do it. This is how you understand how the legislation works. This is why it matters, right? This is why you have to tell your doctors, you should not be placing catheters or intubating. That is my job. Go do your doctory things. These are the 4 things we can't do. So technician utilization is another huge passion piece of mine. And these are no order, right? I am incredibly aware of the color of my skin and what that gives me. So I need to wear all the things, say all the things, show up on all the things, and then also recognize when it's my turn to shut up and simply be there. And my presence is enough. I have a lot of privilege just by existing. And so when we show up in a profession that is less than 2% Black, that says something, right? And so diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, yeah, I'm a big part of that. So Plausibilities Vet Med, that's a online free mentorship platform. I was on the board for that for a long time. And so that's making sure that anyone who's ever felt othered in our profession has support. That's where Blend Vet comes in. So if you've heard about them, it's DEIB accreditation, and it's also providing those experiences, their pathway events, so kids that may not have ever known what vet med is can see it, because you can't be what you can't see,
Mhm.
right? And to
Yeah.
continually learn and grow about marginalized groups and the global south and all of what that has done and continues to do, we need to speak it, speak those truths and show up in the ways that we are needed, not how we want to, how we're needed. And, unlearn what we've learned and do better. So mentorship comes into that. It's all the things, but I really I want to leave the world better than I found it, and that is incredibly daunting right now because there's a lot going on. So that's why I focus on veterinary medicine, right? If I can work on the accessibility, if I can work on the ableism that's present, if I can work on the exclusionary principles and get rid of those, all the while being mindful of how technicians are showing up and how education and clinical skills and human skills training is involved in all this. It's all integrated, right? It's all intersectionality. And so if we can address the racism piece, a lot of things fall into place. And that's what I like to talk to about that a lot, is because people don't realize it, how intertwined racism and misogyny and pay inequity and all of that is. And
Yes.
so of the three, I would say my biggest passion piece is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because if we can really focus on that and do the work that we need to do, because high white women were the problem, we can work on the other stuff too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with everybody, and to know that everybody is contributing in
Yes.
some way, shape, or form. I mean, even if to them it's not much, it is because we're all a team.
Everyone matters.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, when, I left clinical practice, that was the first 6 months was networking and trying to figure out how to get this out there and launched, right? As we navigated the pandemic, right? Is like, okay, I want to really understand what this is. And oh, I have messed up royally on my, understanding of how to be an anti-racist, and what does all of this mean? And how do I get involved in this? And to really find what I could do and do well. I don't want to do anything half-assed. It's, like I was slicing sweet potatoes the day after Christmas and cut down to my knuckle bone. That was, you know, but I didn't cut my finger off, so like the ER doc was like, "Technically, you are doing this a bit half-assed because your finger's still on." I was like, "You know,
Thanks, Doc.
thanks." Because I don't want this work is too important to
Mm-hmm.
do it poorly, and so I'm also very keenly aware, like we were talking earlier about who's your dog people, who's your cat people. What
Yeah.
am I not good at? What am I not an expert in? And so if we're, invited to speak on, say emergency medicine or anesthesia, like that is not me. That is Jesse, or this is Danny, or that's Melissa, right? That's my team that have VTSs in those, those areas, right? Or there's other organizations that are better equipped for this. I am never going to try to pretend that I know everything.
Right. And to also be okay with that.
Yeah. And
And to be
that
like,
takes
oh,
time.
but I know somebody.
Yeah,
I
I've
know
got a
someone.
guy, I've got a gal, I've
Yeah.
got somebody, right? And that also then promotes the work that someone else is doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you provide relief services? No, you need to talk to Jen and Michelle, right? Like that's not my thing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not looking to do that.
Right.
And do you work with horses? No. Have
No.
I historically? Yes. I rode them. I did that rotation and was like, No, these are 2,000-pound delicate little flowers. Absolutely not." But God, the people that work with them are incredible, right? So it's being aware of your own limitations and owning that.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. No, I think that's
Beautiful.
that's super, super important, and to be fully self-aware of that as well.
I get reminded regularly of what I'm good at and what I'm not. And
I mean,
that's
I think we all do at the end of the day.
like, I'll take that slice of humble pie. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
And I mean, and we've had a conversation on one of our podcast episodes where in vet med, we all feel like we're supposed to be good at everything. But I mean, because we talked about Brandy, where she talked about how we feel like if we can't do one thing well in our field, then we're failures and we need to do something else. But when you look at the human side of it, they all specialize in pretty much every single thing, one of those things, and it's not serious for them, and they're still well praised, and they're still
Yeah.
looked on as medical professionals. But if we're not well rounded in every single thing in the vet field, then we're essentially failures. And so that's definitely something that really needs to be pushed more. And I think definitely that we're trying to have more of a conversation with that. You're not going to be good at everything, and that's okay. And that's why
That's okay.
that's why there's so many of us, and that's why we all work as a team. And that's why we do need to be fully aware of what everybody can bring to the table, and not be pointing fingers and saying, well, you can't do this very well. And, and turn it into something like that. You turn it into, that's what makes a really good, well-rounded team.
Yes. That's exactly. I was like snapping underneath the table. Like, yes, that's exactly it. Right. And you don't have to have a specialty in something to know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
And that has been, I've had a couple folks in that community say to me, like, well, you can't speak on that. You're not a BTS. I'm like,
Mhm.
it's medical math.
Yeah.
Pretty sure
Yeah.
that hasn't changed. Now, if you're talking about anesthesia, you're right. I shouldn't be speaking about advanced procedures. And I don't. And if I'm presenting on it, it's the content that my team has written that does that every day.
Right.
And it's on general induction and prep and all of those things. I
Mhm.
can speak to that. I did it. I was really good at it, and they still are. So it's also having that to your point, that awareness of your limitations, but also what you're really good at. And
Mhm.
it's okay to have, yes, you can be an expert without 17 different letters after your name.
Right.
But I have definitely, I was just having a talk with my team about it. We do a beginning of the week, like kind of a scrum. And I was like, so moving forward in 2026, clinical sessions will not be with Alyssa. So if it's professional development, 100%. That's what my certifications, current ones are in. I keep my CVT up to date. I'm up to date in my recover and fear free because that I
Mhm.
need for my own pets and just because I'm passionate about that still. But it's not that's not my area of focus. It
Right.
is well-being, it is mentorship, it is growth and development. Clinical skills is my team because they are the clinical experts.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you share a success story that reaffirms why you chose this path?
Oh my gosh. Like a unicorn practice that we worked with. Yes. Oh my god. So, have you had that experience where like you're running around with either your feet or your head cut off and like you know what to do but your bosses aren't listening and everyone's trying to do the same thing and it's yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah,
How
Just
no.
many
stuck.
times? I can't
Yeah.
even.
So we got called into it is not it's a small but it's a fairly large general practice. They have 5 associate doctors and a support team of 25. So good size,
Oh,
close to us here
yeah.
just outside of Philly. And they were doing 3 surgery procedures on their surgery days, maybe 10 to 12 appointments, and no one was leaving on time. Some people had been there for years and they were starting to notice like a disconnect and some disconnect contend. So we got there and I was like, well, why are your assistants that aren't credentialed monitoring anesthesia and your technicians are filling medications and writing notes? And why are your CSRs not weighing your pets and getting them into the room? And why are your most senior technicians not a part of the training process? And why are your doctors into let's have a conversation, right?
Mhm.
So and they were very open to it, right? The practice owner and her husband, everyone, they were just like, we know that this isn't working. Help us. And so our whole goal is to go in like a tapering pred dose, right? I know that doesn't always happen anymore, but we go in strong and then we wean ourselves off. So at the end, you're doing it on your own and it's like, we don't need you guys. So but at the end, we got them up to 7 to 8 surgeries on their surgery days, 20 appointments. Everyone was leaving on time or early.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was taking a
Nice.
look at, all right, what is your roles? Like, what are your receptionists supposed to be doing? What are your assistants supposed to be doing? What are your technicians supposed to be doing? What's management doing? What are your doctors doing? Let's clarify that. Let's post it. Let's have a conversation about it so everyone's aware, everyone has input. Now let's take a look at your workflow. Who's doing this? Who's doing that? Why? What's working? What isn't? Let's start to change that. And we did that over the course of 4 to 6 months. And they reached out to us last year and we did like a revisit of a CE event. And they're like, and we added this and now we have a new app and this is what we're doing. And 2 of our technician assistants are going to tech school
Oh, yay.
and they're coming
That's
back.
oh.
And
Oh,
so
that's even better.
I know, right? And everyone's happier. Like the one gal that was like really miserable and kind of bringing the vibe down, she does all of the callbacks and the technician appointment. She supervises those and does the training. So she sits in her seat and that's what she does because she's been doing this for almost 30 years. She doesn't want to run around
Just
anymore.
ready for a break.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sit here, you work remotely 2 days a week, and then you come in and do this the other 2 days a week. Perfect.
Mhm.
And then this gal's really strong at this, and this guy can really do, right? And so it's
Mhm.
recognizing what people's strengths are, playing to those strengths, making sure role clarity is established. You understand workflow. How can you do this more effectively, not just efficiently, but effectively? And then document it and categorize it because if you don't write it down,
It didn't happen.
and that doesn't mean you have to physically write it down, though that does cement it in your brain. But if you have it typed up, you can refer back to it.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's my we love those guys. That's our favorite unicorn one. And it's just, if you actively invest in it from both a leadership and a team perspective, because a lot of it, yes, you have to sell the leaders on it or who's going to pay you, and it's not going to happen. But if the team doesn't buy into it, if they do not see value in it, they're going to just go through the motions.
Right.
And how many times have you gotten like a skills list and like, oh yeah, check this off, it's done.
Right.
That's why you have an outside trainer come in who has all the time in the world and just simply watches you do it while you're working and can be like, I actively saw this, you're done. This is how she did. This is how he did. This is how they are doing.
Right. And all
Because,
that also depends on, like, because that checklist, there's so many other things that go into that. Because there's, you
oh,
talk
yeah.
about efficiency, you talk about, the just even the attitude of how you're doing it, and whether you are happily doing it or not happily doing it. I
Or
mean, there's
just
so
like,
many different, yeah, there's so many different things, and again, and the efficiency of it, because a lot of people also, what's the word I'm looking for? I just know a lot of people see things in different perspectives, right? They see things in different ways. And so one person can do it and they're like, "Oh, I like the way so and so does it, but I don't like the way this person does it." And but this other person, they're just seeing it in a different way, and like that, and that's why they're doing it that way. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them, or it doesn't mean that
right.
it's just because we all see things in such
Well,
different
it's like
angles and perspectives.
yeah, it's like your dental rule, right? Like you can,
Mhm.
there's
Yeah,
only 2 roots. No, there's 3, right?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's, to your point, you have to look at it from different perspectives.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the key, right? And
Yeah.
that's that inside out approach. That's the team-based structure,
Yeah.
right?
And
Instead of a hierarchical one,
it
right?
makes the
And
most sense to me.
right, it's not easy. Change in
Right.
vet med never is usually digested well, but my biggest response to that is, well, do you still induce with thiopental? No. Why
What?
is that? Yeah, it's a bad drug. I mean, actually,
Mm.
it works well in certain situations, but greyhounds never wake up because it's lipid soluble, and your spleen gets
Oh,
massive, right?
I think
So
I know
it's,
that one.
yeah. As I
Uh-huh.
said, I'm older than you guys.
Yeah, but you said your age. I'm not too far behind you, and
All
neither
right.
is Jen. Yeah, we're not.
Um,
But is that also? Because I feel like I remember that. That's not the same. I've been out of clinic since 2019. Is that Tilazol? So I remember like
no,
no using Tilazol in greyhounds. Or
no.
am I
I
wrong
mean
on
that,
that?
and that works brilliantly for spay neuter clinics, and I'm not knocking thio. It has its
Okay,
uses,
it's no
but
same drug. I just couldn't remember because it's been a
I'd
long
have to
time.
look that
Okay,
up because I feel like Tilazol is a combo. And this is why I'm not a pharmacology and anesthesia expert. There's other people out
me
there.
too.
But to my point is we've changed our anesthetic protocols because science, right? And things
Well,
have to evolve. And so we have to approach how we grow our teams and how we approach how we do medicine differently too.
and I think it's because now it's about job satisfaction,
Oh, 100%.
because we're
Hmm.
not going to keep our team if they're not, if there's no job, there's no satisfaction in the job itself. You're not going to keep your team.
Right. And that's the current, recruitment. It's not versus retention, it's both. Yes, we need to hire more people. How are you keeping them?
Right.
Right. And yes, you have to pay them equitably. Everyone, you hear that? Pay them. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
more than minimum wage. Thank you very much. Because if I
Yep.
have to go, I'm not working at Target. I've been boycotting that for over a year now. So, pay them more than that an hour. But also look at what are the other incentivizations,
Mm-hmm.
right? What are you doing to feed their brains? What are you
Mm-hmm.
doing to feed their souls, right? What are you doing to ensure that there is a path forward,
Right.
not a path out?
Right.
Right? Because you don't want to age out. You don't want to skills out. Like, well, you've reached your top tier, then you need to revisit your tiers.
Right.
And that's again why we don't call it levels, because it's a career and not a job.
Right.
And how can you progress from next stages? Words matter, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you're looking at the training skills, I mean, on a proficiency scale, the onus should not be on the individual. It's on the process,
Right.
right? So if you are not seeing a proficiency increase, if you're seeing disengagement, that's not the people. It's how you're presenting it, right? So are they a 0 to 1 proficient? Well, that kind of, are they a beginner or advanced? That's hurt. Like, I don't want to be labeled like that. We label everything.
Mm-hmm.
So how are they evolving through the process? And are they simply learning, or are they able to implement that skill? Right? The term mastery needs to get out of the vernacular for so many reasons. So take a look at what you're saying, how you're implementing it, and who's involved. And to your point, Jen, all the perspectives need to be taken into consideration.
I like the way you're talking about like having people do what they're good at, what fits them. Because as you were talking about that, I was thinking about maybe I could have lasted in a clinic longer if I was only doing vaccine appointments all day. I kid you not that I loved it so much, and I feel like I'm a rarity.
Yeah, you
But
are. I would give them all to you.
I loved it. Client education, preventative care. Not to say I was a salesperson, but if I got that client that walk in like once every 3 years for the rabbit vaccine, because you got to get the shot for, that guy, because that's what I had when I worked in Flint, where a lot of those people, I would often talk them into at least getting a heartworm test, maybe thinking about lepto. Because I'm like, you got raccoons in your backyard, right? I'm like, you can get that shit. Like, I would just come right down to the level. And then, like, every clinic I worked at, they would see their preventative medicine just increase, increase, increase. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to be in surgery. I don't want to be in treatment. Like, just let me talk to these owners all day long. I promise you, I'm going to get them. But, they wanted us to be at every clinic I
Yeah, they
worked
want
at, it
you to
was
do
cross-trained.
everything.
They wanted you to
Mm-hmm.
spread out. And I'm like, I can't sit here and do your analysis all day. It's not, first of all, I don't like to stand. Second of all, just I just wanted to be with the owners talking to
And
them.
that is the disconnect, right?
Yes.
Because I see the value in cross training. We've talked about it before, but that is part of what we do as an initial evaluation is we meet one-on-one with every team member. What do
I
you
love
love?
that. I
See,
read
what do
that.
you want to
Yeah.
do?
What do you want to do? And
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what I really want to do. This is what to your point, Michelle, like, this is what I'm passionate about now. I love client education, but I could place art lines in practice, but sub-Q injections would floor me. I'd miss, like, I'd go right through. Like, how embarrassing is that? Right? Not every time, but I get anxious about it because I'm like, oh my God, like, I've tented the skin. Where the did it go? So, like, to that point is you have to understand your people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't have to get to know them to the nitty-gritty detail because there is something to keep that distinction between leadership within the practice. You can't be friends with people you manage. I learned that the hard way, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And it's not a popularity contest.
Yeah.
It's just not. So it's really understanding what people love, what they don't love, areas in which, and this is like that interview question, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Like, don't even, right? What are areas in which you feel confident and
Oh.
areas in which you would like to grow?
Mm-hmm.
Same question, just very different, right? So do you want to do these things? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Then why would I put you in there? Because I'm setting you and the practice and the patients, number one, up for failure.
Yeah.
And that is non-negotiable,
Yeah.
right? So if you want to do vaccine appointments all day, every day, I can guarantee you there's at least 3 to 5 people that hate talking to people.
Yeah.
But you're going to put them in there? Why would you do that?
Exactly.
Right.
Why would you do
Right.
that?
Yeah. And
And
then
so
and then
these are
that
the
interaction is not gonna bode
no.
well for the client or for the employee.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you've got someone that is loving the tree of life and all of the things that they do in the OR, right? And all the beeps and the tweets and the screeps and all of that stuff, right?
That's
And they
me.
couldn't, yeah. And I loved being in the TPLO cave. Like, so working in referral medicine, like
See, I
some of
don't like ortho though.
I've had 7 knee surgeries, Jen. Like,
Oh
you come to
gosh.
appreciate it. Yeah. Um,
Yikes.
so I had a nice little empathic response to our Labradors with their TPLOs or their
Yeah.
TTAs, which I actually prefer better. I've had one of those myself. So what is your comfort right now? If
Mm-hmm.
you asked me to go back in the OR right now, I'd be like, no, because I did no, no. But if you want me to place catheters on a fractious cat, give it. I can still do that really, really well.
Yeah.
So I would do all of those things,
Yeah.
but
Well,
you
and
have to know.
yeah, I mean, I remember I worked in general practice. I started on the job training, and I worked in general practice for gosh, like going on 5, 6 years. And I remember towards the end of it, I remember like waking up and being like, gosh, I don't know if I can continue to do this. Like I'm really bored. Like, I'm sick of doing ears. I'm sick of vaccines. I'm sick of the same thing. It's the same thing every single day. And because in the beginning, I was learning so much and I was like, oh my gosh, learning something new every day. And then it just got to the point for me personally, it was just very monotonous. And I was just like, and I wanted to do it as a career, but then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just don't know if I could do this for the rest of my life." And then that's when somebody was like, "Well, have you tried emergency?" And I was like, "Oh God, no, I can't do emergency. Like that's I'm
No.
not good. I'm not good enough for emergency." And somebody was like, "Well, maybe you should just try it out, just like 1 day a week." And then I fell in love with it. And then that's where I was like, "Oh, this is where I'm meant to be." So it's one of those things where it's like if you feel like something's not working for you, it just means that that's not working for you. There are so many other
Yes.
things that you can do.
I feel like this is a theme that we keep coming back to, right?
Yeah.
Is you have to find what drives you,
Yeah.
right? And
Yep.
I was the same way. Like I started off in GP as a kennel assistant and I was like, I needed to learn, right? Like I had my
Mhm.
bachelor's in marine bio, but that's not vet, right? And
Yeah.
that's not going
Mm-mm.
to help. So I needed to understand, I needed to pick up the shit literally to learn what I was going to be
Mhm.
dealing with. And then I moved out to Canada and I worked at a mixed practice and we did everything from seal pup rescue to donkeys and cats and dogs and a Canada goose that lost its foot, like all of that stuff. I was like, this is amazing. I love this. I want to do more. And then I got into specialty medicine. I was like, oh, yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
specialty ER was my favorite. And I
Yeah.
was going to be a vet. I got into Tufts in 2006.
Oh,
You
wow.
got in?
I
Just
did.
getting in is like that shows you're smart. Just getting in. That's like what the second or third hardest one to get into. I
I
mean,
had a,
it's
I
tough.
had a really good letter of recommendation. I'm pretty sure that's what I was banking on. I got my acceptance letter and the next week found out I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And we were out in Vancouver and British Columbia. My parents are outside of Philly. My best friends are scattered. So is my family, my extended family. Tufts is in the middle of not near Boston, really.
Mhm.
And there are some incredible people that I do know that did vet school while they were pregnant on their own. I knew I couldn't do that. And so many years of therapy after having my daughter, she is the best decision I ever made, right? To be a mom. And then because if I had gone on to be a veterinarian, I wouldn't be doing this.
Right. Yeah.
It took a lot of work to see that. And I love being a technician.
Mhm.
Love it. Because we get to do all I get to place catheters and basset hound ear veins. Do you, Dr. Smith? Maybe not. Right. And
Right.
to have that flexibility and the client interaction.
Mhm.
Right. When I
Right.
worked in oncology, like I ran the appointments and I did all the administrations of the drugs, right? Doctor doesn't do that. That's us.
No.
Right. And so from CHOP protocol to CHOP protocol, I was with them weekly. And that relationship I love because it brought that part of GP that I liked, right? The
Mhm.
client education and that relationship. Connection is one of my core values. So to have that, loved that. But I reached a point where my first burnout was in 2015 when I started feeling, well, they're all going to die anyway. That's horrible, right? I was becoming apathetic
Mhm.
and I didn't know what it was. We didn't, it was 2015. What was burnout, right?
Right.
Everyone has a
Yeah.
job. Everyone's
Yeah.
fine. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
it was a thing, but I
That's
didn't
where
know it
yeah.
then.
Mhm.
And
Same for
then my
me.
body physically shut down, right? And my knee gave out. And that was the first time I had to step away. So
Mhm.
being aware of what your body is responding to,
Yeah.
knowing what you love, playing to those strengths, and seeing that not just in yourself, but in the team that you're a part of. That's what this is about.
Right.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. It's what you're doing is unique. You're helping. I mean, you're improving the hospital workflow, big picture, but internally, you're helping the staff find what they want to do and make them happier, which like results in higher margins, which results in smooth flow operations.
If you're resenting what you're doing, that's going to show up.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, why are we in this profession?
Mhm.
For the
Yeah.
animals.
Puppies and kittens. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we do all day.
Yeah. And they
But
come in the baskets. Yeah.
yeah, and the cookies at Christmas time and the chocolates.
Yeah.
But it's really that's it. I got into this profession to be the voice for the voiceless.
Right.
And why I really pushed for to start EVT and to continue along the route that I've been doing is it wasn't just our patients that had lost their voice. It was the team.
Yeah.
And that's, no, not on my watch.
Yeah.
So I skip mama bear and go straight to tigress or lioness. I'm gonna just get bigger. Although grizzlies are pretty fierce. Either way, I'm coming at you with tooth and claw if you're gonna hurt my people.
What advice would you give to technicians considering starting their own business?
It's funny. I think we've touched on this in all of our side conversations, but
Yeah.
it would honestly be less advice and more inquiry, right? Like, why are you thinking this? What are you looking to do, right? And spend a lot of time listening. I think that's one of the biggest things we miss when we're having conversations is we talk more and we don't listen enough. And I forget who mentioned it recently, and then it reminded me that my grandmother used to say the same things. You've got 2 of these and 1 of this, use them accordingly. So I would also, dream big. Life is too short to do anything small. And so what would you regret more? Doing it or not doing it? And yeah, I've fallen on my face and on my ass and sometimes both at the same time. It's possible. Don't ask me how. But don't do it alone. Even if it's something that's a solo project, you have someone that you can talk with, right? Find a mentor. Go to your local SCORE organizations. If you don't know what that is, most states and counties have it. It's an acronym. I forget what the heck it stands for, but it provides free financial, at least your first session for financial, legal, any type of counseling through SCORE is free. So look for the resources that don't cost you anything. Network, 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 right? It's worth putting yourself out there. It's vet med. It's like half a degree of separation. Someone you worked with 10 years ago knows somebody, right? And don't be afraid to ask, like, I'm looking to do this. What do you think? Talk to me about your business plan. What is your business model? Is it B2B? Is it B2C? Do you even know what that means? Because sometimes I still forget, right? Are you looking to sell a product? Are you looking to sell a service that involves taxes? And do you have an accountant? You don't want to do your own taxes when you're self-employed. It's the worst, right? So having the conversation about all of the amazingness about being an entrepreneur and all of the real gritty, sometimes this sucks conversations, right? Because yeah, I'm my own boss. It's amazing. I hate paying quarterly taxes. Let's just put that out there. But now that I'm in a place where I can afford an accountant, I don't mind them as much because I just say, just take my money. Don't tell me about it, right? How can we structure this internally so that I'm paying myself appropriately? How can I bill? What software should I use? What type of bylaws should you create? Do you have a mission, vision, and values, right? Like you have to mix the dreaming with the reality so that both can come true.
Right.
Use those mentors to your advantage because there's
Oh
a
my
lot of them out there.
Yeah, and you can just put a post out there. Like
Mhm.
I've commented on some of those. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, then ping me, right? I might be able to help, and if I can't, I'm sure as shit know someone who can.
Right. Yeah. How do you see the role of vet techs evolving within the next few years with everything that has been going on?
No, we
What
should
are your
just take
thoughts on
over.
that?
Just take over. It's like that question of like, should women run the world? Yes. I do think we are in desperate need of an autonomous organization, right? Similar to
Definitely.
there is not many things that I want to take from human med, but there are a few. And having the American Nursing Association separate from the American Medical Association has worked for a good reason,
Right.
right? So I am really in full support of that. We do have some existing organizations that do incredible work. They need to be updated, right? We
Mhm.
need to have a divestiture from parent organizations. We need to recognize that we are not less than and not necessarily to have that external validation. We need to know that we are not less than simply because we do not have DVM or if you're from Penn, a VMD, right? I love my Penwees. I love them.
I
At
work for one.
Penwee,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big part of it is we have to let go of that us versus them mentality. It's not a fight Because right now, we also don't have access to liability insurance. That's a whole other conversation. Right now, we legally cannot practice unless we have the umbrella of a veterinarian for insurance purposes. So it is their license on the line when it's our license on the line, right? That being said, I would love to see them get through a day without us.
Right.
I would love to see us try to get through a day without our receptionists and without our assistants, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's every role is integral. And so I would like to have a self-standing autonomous organization that we can go to, right? In Pennsylvania, our Vet Tech Association got amalgamated into our VMA. And it's run by a corporation now. I used to have a lot of connectivity to the PVMA, and I feel disconnected right now. And that's on me, right? Because I've been focused on my org and I don't know what's happening over there. That's not their fault.
Yeah.
But we do need vet tech associations. We do need a national organization that hears us and stands up for us and that we run. And there's so much that's involved in that, right? And there's a lot of intricacies and there's a lot of history and there's a lot of things that I am being very PC right now and not saying intentionally because there's a lot up in the air right now. I think we are poised to finally turn that next key, right? Get to that next stage. I really do because there's momentum, right? We need to stop the infighting. I do not care what you call me. If I'm an RVN, an RVT, I'm currently a CVT because my legislation just simply didn't make the change before they passed the bill. Otherwise, I would be an RVT, right? I don't care what you call me. I simply want one title, one universal title that is universally recognized and protected. But that's where the insurance comes in, right? We can't have that unless we have our own liability insurance. Once we start getting those in place, and there are people in leadership positions that are poised to do this, right? Once we get those in place, then what's stopping us? Well, there's a few things. However, that's why we need to educate ourselves, right? That's why you need to know who the Animal Policy Group is and other organizations that do lobbying on behalf of veterinary medicine, that understand what the legislative process is from state to state to state. Because, Jen, where are you located?
So I'm located in Idaho.
Okay. And what are your credentialing initials?
So I'm a CVT in Idaho, but Washington is literally like 15 minutes away from me. And so I'm also licensed in Washington. I'm an LVT in Washington, and the majority of my jobs are in Washington because Washington is title protected and they actually respect their technicians and they pay them really well, whereas Idaho does not.
Okay. So you have two different ones, right? You're an LVT and a CVT.
Yeah.
Michelle, what about you?
I'm an LVT. So
Okay.
I'm in Michigan, right outside of Detroit. So I'm an LVT.
And I'm a CVT, right? And if you're in Colorado or California, you're an RVT. And do you know what they are in Tennessee?
Yes. Licensed veterinary medical technician.
Right. That's 4 different designations in one country.
Yeah. It's nuts. Why can't we just be one? Like you said, just one.
Right.
I don't care what it is too. I'm like, just one.
But it's also because the differences of the states. Like I said, Idaho's not title protected. Washington is.
And then you throw in, well, let's call ourselves nurses.
Yeah, that.
That's a can of worms I've opened many times. The people that are behind that, they know how I feel about it.
Yep.
I used to be on that. Like, yeah, call me a nurse, 100%. And then I thought about it and I talked to more people and I learned a little bit more. And yes, part of the concern is technician in the general community, in the public, has a negative connotation where you don't know as much, you didn't go to real school, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's education. We can work on that, right?
Right.
But to your point earlier, Michelle, nurses specialize in one thing. Technicians, we do it all. So nursing is a part of what we do, right?
Yeah.
Now, I understand to have like the credibility and the recognition, nurse lends that, because I don't have to explain what a veterinary technician is to, say, my kids' swim team parents. I don't have to tell them what it means. And people can't say, oh, I used to be a vet tech. Where'd you go to school?
I do that.
And they're like, I did.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know. I do that all the time.
I'm like, oh, okay, where did you go to school? Yep, exactly.
And they're like, I didn't. I was like, then thank you so much. You're an incredible veterinary assistant. Now, I know that we're in a little bit of a gray area and it's a little bit ambiguous, because what if you've worked those 10,000 hours and studied your butt off and took the VTNE?
Yeah.
I give you a huge lot of credit. Welcome to the team.
Yeah, I know many.
Okay.
I know many assistants that did that.
Yes. And however, that's a Band-Aid on an arterial bleed,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so this goes back to, again, we need, a vet tech version, like an AVTA, right? And so we have a American Vet Tech Association, or whatever we end up calling ourselves.
It's
It's a rat's nest.
Mhm.
No offense to rats. And no offense to anyone, because there's been a lot of people fighting this fight for a long time, almost
Mhm.
since the profession came into existence, right? When we were
Right.
animal health technicians, and then it switched to veterinary technicians. And then the VNI happened, right? And then we're still doing all of these things. All of us, regardless of what side of whatever issue you are on, we're on the same team. Our ultimate goals are the same.
Yeah.
So we have to really take a look at what we're exactly fighting for and why.
Right.
So once we get there, and it's getting there, and there's been setbacks, and I've talked to people about the VPA in Colorado. That's a whole other podcast.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things. We need to recognize who we already have. We need to utilize who we already have. We need to get an organization that is autonomous and nationally connected. And we need to get that liability insurance so we can have a universal title, so we can move the profession forward and pay people what they're worth.
Mhm.
good.
We're going
That's my
forward.
one wish.
We're
We
not
are.
going backwards. And the
Yeah.
profession, it's got some cracks, but that's where we have to think about the Japanese art of kintsugi. You break the pottery, you fill it with gold, and it's more beautiful than it was before.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're inching slowly forward. I
Yeah,
think that it's, like you said, there are setbacks and there are things where, you feel like we're going backwards again, but we are slowly inching forward. It's just but great things take time, you know? R- Those
100%.
they they're not just gonna happen. And then you also all of these great things that have happened are there were strong people who fought for it
Oh
continuously
my
in order for
gosh.
those things to happen.
Right.
It was
We are,
not
yeah,
given easily ever.
no, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. And that's what we
Hmm.
need to remember, right? Those mostly women, right, that have gone before us. And, it's not either or, it's both and. Two things can be true at the same time.
Right.
We are going in a good
Yes,
direction.
we're absolutely going in a great direction.
We just have to keep going. We have to keep fighting. And
Yeah.
it gets tiring.
Yeah.
And I would simply say to that, again, check your privilege. You have something to fight for, and you have things to rejuvenate you, and you get to say that you're tired. It's
Right.
privilege.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this is what we wanted, and then you just get burnt out, and then it all just becomes monotonous, and then you forget that's that I always love the phrase of, if I could meet my 13-year-old self, how would my 13-year-old self envision me as I am today? And then that's when your perspective is just like, oh my gosh, like I already know, like my 13-year-old self would be like, oh my God, I'm a badass.
Yeah. I
But
shaved my head? What?
but when you're like in the day to day, and then you're there, and then you just like you just don't feel that way.
No.
So we have to always
It's
keep reminding ourselves.
And it's okay I'm not saying you can't say you're tired.
Right.
Yes. Just simply recognize that you have the luxury of saying that,
Yeah.
right? And that we have a profession that we all love.
Yeah.
It is far from perfect, but I challenge you to find one that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that we actually want to fight for, and that's worth
Yes.
fighting for. I mean, these animals at the end of the day are always worth fighting for, and that's why we're doing it.
Yes, absolutely. And we do it for each other, right?
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's Monday. Just Monday. Yes. So, how do you balance your personal life with your business? How do you do that, especially with everything you have going on? I mean, you have a lot.
I have a manager. I have like, I don't even know what her title is because she does so much. So we hired her about 8 months ago. Game changer, but boundaries. I've done a lot of training on my own and like certificates and what have you, and just work on boundaries and the magical word of no. So it's the first word we learn as kids, and it's the first word we forget as adults, right? But there's always going to be a little bit of overlap, right? So this is something that I don't know if I actually have coined this phrase, but I hadn't heard it before I thought of it. So I'm going to claim it. And if you actually came up with it, then credit to whomever you are. But if you look at the two words personal and professional, you cannot spell professional without every single letter in personal. So you have to show up as your authentic self wherever you go and whatever you do. So my core values do not shift from when I'm Alyssa being a mom and singing in a band and going to the gym and wifing and doing all of those things to when I'm on stage at the London Vet Show. Doesn't change. That's who I am. Again, I have the luxury of privilege to do that. I can show up. And if I didn't tell you I have a sometimes debilitating chronic illness, you wouldn't know. If I didn't tell you that I am clinically depressed right now, you wouldn't know because that's hidden. Not everyone has that, right? So for me, I don't always separate it because I am who I am. Now, that being said, before my son tried out for and got into the school musical, when he got home at 3 p.m. every day, I'm done until after dinner. And then if I have to do some work or I have like a webinar or something at night, then I do it then. But that is his time. Now I don't pick him up till 5, so I can work longer, which I'm like, yes, I can get more done because I need 37 hours in a day. But I work with our manager to be like, this is what you need to do this day. This is what needs to be done by the end of the week. This is our clients that we need to get back to. This is what I'm handling. This is your planner. So I have a whiteboard that I have one of those, I forget what I work on this time management. I have it. It's up here. It's urgent, not important, like that 4 square thing. And then I have my handwritten calendar. Like I'm booked out until December of next year. I have something that I'm traveling for every month, which is
Oh, it's so
crazy.
fun.
It is fun. It's
So fun.
exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to do
Yeah.
it. Oh,
So I have to have electrolytes and I have to have other supplementation and I have to factor in rest. My body forces me to. I don't have that option. So I would not recommend having a condition that forces you to park your ass on the couch for a couple of days. But I have no choice. And that's what self-care is. It's intentionally doing nothing and not feeling guilty about it. That's the hard part. So I have a calendar for every org I'm a part of. And I have a physical
Smart.
calendar that I write notes on, right? So I have an EVT calendar. I have a mentor vet tech calendar. I had a nurture calendar. I still have it. I just don't need to use it right now. And same with Project Sticker. I have those calendars ready to go, right? My admin manager, amazing human, supervises all of that for me. She deals with my bookings, which I didn't have before. So I was having to organize all my travel and everything. I'll have to do that. Let me tell you, it's really nice. For me, the biggest deciding factor of maintaining a boundary is what's worth more, my time or my money. My time.
Yeah.
I have very
Can never get
limited
turned back.
every time, right? So, I've been joking about having short hair. The reason it's short is because my mom, I'm lucky enough she's with me, but she very nearly wasn't. And so when her hair fell out with chemo, I shaved my head. And I told her I would keep the sides shaved and just to keep her in remission. 7 years later, here we are.
Nice.
Now, I've shaved my head twice since for other families that had chemo. It did not end the same for them.
Yeah.
But I maintain the shave in their honor and to support my mom. That is my thing, right? And when I shaved my head, I stopped hiding and I realized what was important. And it is not work. It is not recognition. It is not going out in glory. It is the people that I surround myself with. It is and yes, I am a mom and I am so proud of it. My daughter got a full ride to university,
Nice.
Oh,
half
that's
academic,
amazing.
half for swim. She's swimming D1 in college.
Just
Like,
just like you were swimming. That's so amazing.
oh, she's a swimmer. I was a synchronized swimmer and I was good at it, but she is like on the path. Like she loved, like Katie Ledecky, if you don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's our best women's distance swimmer. And that's my kid, right? Like she's just amazing. And she is intrinsically good. Like she came out like that, like, hi, ding. So she's my soul, my son, my little empath. He's my heart. And my husband is my rock, right?
Mhm.
Those three people, if I lose everyone else, I don't want to. Um, I they keep me
Mhm.
here. My I also got to choose my family, my sisters, right? Not growing up with them. So my two best friends, we're going on 27 years. It's a long time,
That's
Mhm.
right?
amazing. That's so
Yeah.
good.
Freshman year of college, right? Like amazing. And so as an entrepreneur, Jen, you said it earlier, the flexibility, right? We have the luxury of choosing. And so I get to choose. And I will always, always family first.
Mhm.
Friends a very close second because a lot of them are family to me.
Right.
That doesn't mean that, hey, like my publisher's like, you need your first draft due in like a month. I'm like, aware, working with my contributors. I'm really good with deadlines. I will follow through. Like if I make a commitment, if I say I'm going to do something, I will follow through. So I have to stay true to my core values. And that is relationships, authenticity, empathy, and determination. Those are my four. Revisit those every 6 months. They don't always shift, but sometimes they might.
Sure.
And so I align myself with those. And if it doesn't align with that, then I don't do it. And I prioritize my family. I prioritize my health. And that's how I make that happen. Again, it's sometime a balance.
Yeah.
Most of the time it is a journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, and you have to learn as time goes on too. I mean,
Oh,
it's always a learning
another
curve.
growth opportunity and you
Mhm.
can make it an AFCO and I'll let you fill in the blank there.
So throughout your entire entrepreneurial journey, and even just including clinically when you were working in clinical practice, throughout all of that, what was your biggest failure and what have you learned from that?
I was in a leadership position before I had any right to be. I didn't have the training. I didn't have, in truth, the experience. I had clinical experience, but I wasn't certified yet. I wasn't credentialed yet. I'd never led a team beyond being a coach for swimmers. That's very similar, but very different, right? I did not understand the distinction of leadership and friendship. And I did not recognize when I was held in high esteem and looked up to as a mentor. And I broke someone. And to her very big credit, she called me on it and said, I looked up to you as a mentor, and you are in a position here to make an impact for positive change. And you chose the cool kids and you let me and this practice down. And she quit. And I never heard from her again.
Oh, wow.
And she was a good friend before that. Um, I clearly have never forgotten, and I never will. I'm very fortunate to be able to say I have very few regrets in my life. That is my biggest. But I learned from that day forward to not put anything above the integrity of my position and that I need to constantly learn. And when I am in a position where people look up a little bit, whether it's physically, I'm 5'8", so I'm a little taller than some folks, um, or metaphorically, I need to earn that. And I need to make sure I make decisions based upon that and what is for the greater good and will support people and will not tear anyone down. So I don't even know if she's still in the profession. I've tried to find her, but she doesn't want to be found by me, and that I have to respect that. I did that damage. It's like a patient, if you've ever lost one on the anesthesia table, right? I've lost two. I lost two in my 17-year career before I stepped away from practice. I remember their names. I know their siglement. I know what scrubs I was wearing that day. I can tell you every little detail about that case. This is like, I don't regret those because I know I did everything possible. In this situation, I did not. I failed horribly. but I'd like to think because I did, I have never done it again, and I put it into a lot of my stories, and um, it was a learning opportunity to make sure it never happens for anyone else again.
That's incredible. I hope wherever this person is, I hope they hear
It's not for
and they
me.
know.
Yeah, but I don't need absolution. I don't deserve it. It's simply, and that's not who I am. That's not a big thing for me. It's recognition that I done wrong, and they taught me that. That was their gift.
Yeah, and I mean, and you're taking accountability. I know that there I mean, when you it just even when you said it, when you were like, "Oh yeah, I took a leadership position that I was not trained for." And it's like, I mean, that's vet med. How
Oops, I
many
became a
people
manager.
yeah,
Yeah.
how many
Love
people
it.
in vet med have been thrown into leadership because they were they they because of seniority, like, "Oh, well, she's been here the longest, so she should probably be the boss." Or so many other things, and they weren't trained. Popularity, they already are really close with a certain number of people, and those people are gonna get away with things because they're already close with them. I mean, it's like high school. So,
That is
That's what happened. It was a
yeah.
popularity contest, and the
Uh-huh.
mean girls were being mean, and
Yep.
instead of having
yeah.
integrity and sticking up, I didn't.
Yeah. And that happens all the time. I've seen it. I've been a part of it.
Yeah.
Even now, there's clinics that I have done relief for that I've walked into. And, especially somebody who's from the outside walking in, you can just, you see those things really easily. And the difference is when somebody, when somebody approaches them and tells them the truth, are they going to take accountability, or are they just going to push it under the rug? Are they going to blame somebody else?
Ooh, blame game.
How are they going to handle that? And that's what tells you the integrity of that person. So, and I yeah, there's not many leaders out there who take accountability and who change because of it, and learn because of it. A lot of times they play the blame game, or they push it under the rug, or they try to change for a small period of time, and then they end up rolling right back to where they were. So the fact that you can see it, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
difference there, and it's really rare.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you. But again, it's not about me.
Yeah. It's just, it's just it is a part of veterinary medicine,
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately. It's very
I
common.
It is, and I don't think it's not unique to our industry. It's a people problem.
Yep. Yeah. And a leadership problem.
Oh, yeah.
And the people who are putting in to those leaderships. And that is something that we talked with Sharon. Um, she was, I think, our second interview, but she was definitely, that was a really good, insightful podcast on just who are we putting into these leadership positions? Are they being well trained for it? Are they being mentored? Because these leaders need mentors as well.
Everyone needs a mentor.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. So I think I'm hoping that as we talk about these things and as vet med is changing, that will start to change as well.
I agree, and I think instead of getting nervous with these younger generations, I'm hopeful,
Hmm.
right? Like, Gen Z is pretty they're awesome, right? And
Yeah.
they hold us as millennials accountable, which we need, right? And to again, we're moving forward. I don't wanna go backward,
Right.
right? I do that enough, right?
Hmm.
It's and sometimes it is one step forward, two steps back, but it's yeah, the accountability has to be there, and if I'm not gonna hold myself accountable, if not me, then who?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then where's that going to get you at the end of the day?
Yeah. And
It's
yeah, it's sugar coating is only good if it's candy or on baked goods.
right. Yeah.
Um, if you can go back and give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Oh my goodness, stop caring what everyone else thinks, right? Wear the
Hmm.
amazingly large poofy skirt with a t-shirt. Who cares, right? Sing out loud even if people think it's a bad song. I was so obsessed with fitting in and case in point, what we just talked about, right? I wanted desperately to belong and to be the cool kids. But you know what's cool is knowing what the next right thing is to do, is making a positive impact for change, is being true to yourself, is wearing the things and singing the songs and doing the stuff. So not to say that you shouldn't take into consideration people's feelings. Of course you should. But it's the judgy part, right? Like, well, what are people going to think?
Mm-hmm.
What Instead of saying it like that, what are people going to think? What are you going to make people think? What next steps are they going to take because of what you've said, done, or worn, right? Like, can you be an inspiration or a reason to not do something, right? Like, what's your legacy going to be? I do not need it in glaring lights like I thought I did before. Um, so it would be to, yeah, don't take yourself so seriously
Right.
and don't worry about the judgment of others.
Yeah, because you're going to be judged no matter what you do, and you're going to be judged
100%.
either way.
Oh, yeah, you can't make everybody happy, so I might as well piss some people off along the
Yeah.
way.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. I love
I had
that.
a I
Might
had a
as well.
DVM the other day that literally said, she was like, "Girl, if people don't hate me or if people don't hate you, you're not doing it right." And I was like, "Yep, yep."
You gotta you like, to that what we were just talking about, right? Stir up some good trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the right intentions, right? You're not going in
Right.
there just to be a shit disturber, although sometimes
Right.
that is kind of fun. But really, yeah, getting in there and mixing it up and yeah, all the things
Mm-hmm.
that I can't think of how to say eloquently right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shake shit up. That's not eloquent though. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it depends on who's saying it's not eloquent. See? Right there.
Thank you. Okay. We're good.
So wrapping things up, is there anyone in your life that you would like to dedicate this episode to? Anyone in your personal or your work life who has in some way inspired or influenced you? Because we all know that there's always somebody in our lives that do.
Yeah. There's a couple. So, um, I'd like to dedicate this to my brother-in-law, Scott. He was taken from this world too soon, just this past month. And he was, you hear about people that are fearless, but the man was, and it was tireless. Also true. I don't know how often if he ever slept, but
Wow.
he was always looking to grow, and he was so good at like that self-reflection process. And he was a paraglider. Like he had or a I'm not entirely sure what you call it, but he had a motorized fan strapped to his back and a parachute, and he would jump off mountains. Like he was.
Yeah, that's a paraglider.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
he was training for an Ironman
Oh my gosh.
when he was killed in a cycling accident. So he always pushed himself to the limits, yet always stayed true to who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And he encouraged everyone around him to do the same, like to be the best, truly the best versions of themselves. And he loved fiercely. And I was only in his life for, I've known him for 22 years, as long as I've been with my husband. And we got together really quickly. We were engaged within 5 months, and there was zero judgment. He was like, welcome to the family, sis. And that's always how it was. So yeah, this is for Scott. For the inspiration, there's so many incredible people in this world, and
Mm-hmm.
in our profession, there's no
Mm-hmm.
shortage of those amazing humans as well. And for so many different reasons, right? Their advocacy, their intelligence, all of that. But I would have to say that my biggest inspiration especially in like pushing for inclusivity, equity, and simply doing the right thing, that would be my children. They remind me that what I do is not only for me, but it's for the generations that follow. And I want to ensure that when it's my turn to stand up and speak out, I do it loud, I do it with pride, and I utilize the privilege that I have and to do so for the right reasons.
That's awesome.
Beautiful dedication.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually one of the sweetest dedications we've had so far, especially in regards to your brother-in-law, who sounds like an amazing human being.
He
I'm
really
so
was.
sorry about your loss. Yes.
Yeah. It was all like it's this world's lost.
Mhm.
It's been a year of loss for my family. It was my cousin who was like my big brother last February, and then my aunt in June, and then two of my mom's closest friends who were like aunts to me, they've
Yeah.
been, and then I was like, okay, that's four. Let's just recover. And then, um, and that's not about that sounded way about me. But it was just, I'm an empath as well. So like being around everyone that is hurting, like I take that on, and I didn't have my energy bubble up, and it's like all here because I don't want anyone else to hurt. I want to take that away if I can. That's not my job, but I like to think it is. So yeah, enough pain, enough. It's just enough.
I know.
It's last year, we're at the beginning of a new year, and
Come on,
for the
fire horse.
Christmas.
Let's go. Let's burn
Yes,
this.
come
Let's
on.
bring
Yeah,
it.
let's
Let's do
bring it.
it.
Yes, let's
I'm
do
ready.
it.
I'll hop on.
Yes.
I will ride the fire horse.
Yes, I will. We will bring that fire horse to you.
Thank you.
Alyssa, has there been anything else that you want to talk about or anything else that wasn't said before we let you go for the day?
Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for having me hang out with you guys and just having this incredible conversation. Keep having these heart storms, as my friend Sonia says. It's way more than a brainstorm. It's a
Okay.
heart storm.
It's a hard
And
start.
so I'm just really grateful to have met you both and, you know, the opportunity to keep hanging out with you in the future. So
Yeah, for
follow us,
sure.
come see me, come hang out at conferences, just ping
Yeah.
me, follow me on social. I think you guys have all my handles. So
hmm
if there's anything I can do or be, and if it's not me, it's my team, then I'm there.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we really enjoyed this conversation. This was a lot of fun and a lot of really insightful and inspiring points in this conversation. I think people are really going to like this one.
Well, thanks. I enjoyed it with you guys, and I'm so excited for your daughter to come join the world in the next few months.
Thank
And
you.
take it easy until then, and don't push your Doberman out of the house too soon to get a cat. So
Michelle.
I love that meathead way too much. He's something else, but I won't push him out yet. But
I know.
No.
he's my chief of security. I got to keep him around for something,
Yeah, he's earning his keep right now. So yeah.
Yes, he is on the clock. Yep. Yes.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, you guys, we're gonna call it for now. We're gonna stop recording, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some valuable insights. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a review and let us know what you think. You can also connect with us on all social media platforms at Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a positive impact in the veterinary world. We need you guys. Have a great day.